Welcome back to Open to Truth, a podcast all about exploring big ideas and discovering truth together. My name's Clint.
Hey, I'm Tony. Welcome back.
And I thought today we could discuss some trends in technology, or how would you describe it?
I would describe it exactly that way. Upcoming technologies that could be disruptive and maybe have potential ethical implications.
That maybe you haven't heard about.
Yeah, it's worth teasing out the implications of, especially ethically, of these.
Start thinking about it now.
Start thinking about it now. It's coming.
It's coming down the road.
5 to 10 years. That's the timeline we're talking.
Wow.
Some of the Black Mirror type stuff.
Okay.
Yep.
So the first one is Neuralink.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. This is your story that you've been preaching about for a while.
I love Neuralink. I want to put this in the broader category of just brain-computer interfaces.
Okay. I don't know what that means right now.
BCIs. They are being developed for, think like VR headsets as well.
Okay.
Ways that computers can interface with brain activity directly. So without the need for digital.
I don't need a touch.
Meaning fingers.
By mere thinking, I can make something happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the technology can
detect it.
The
electrical signals or something?
So anyway, that's an emerging sort of technology that has a keen eye for the VR market and what might
virtual reality.
Virtual reality, yes. But one of the bits of technology that is
just to tie that rope, like why they have a keen eye there. You're saying just wouldn't it be nice to do this without a big helmet?
Sure. Yeah. Imagine right.
Like I just kind of like get a chip into my neck.
Imagine that
and now I can play games and stuff.
Yeah, imagine that it's sending signals to stimulate the part of the brain responsible for visual processing. You don't actually need a screen in front of your face.
Amazing.
You can
closed eyes
change what you're seeing.
And it's sending
and hallucinate in some way, like when you dream. Or actually, dream might be a good example because you feel things in dreams as well. So rather than having some touch controllers that are kind of tracking your hands and you're using buttons, why not just have the experience of what it feels like to move an arm without actually moving your physical arm? Or, for example, maybe you are playing a game where you aren't a human being, you're a bird or an octopus, and you are controlling tentacles instead of arms, and you could do that with your mind. So your brain is surprisingly plastic in its ability to learn to control new limbs, in that sort of environment.
Okay, so that's like
a use case.
Now you're theory crafting. None of that's possible yet.
Yeah, that doesn't happen yet. Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Certainly not at the consumer level. That's not happening. There's also, you can imagine medical applications.
Oh, sure.
An amputee suddenly gets a prosthetic arm that he can control with his mind. I mean, that's huge.
Just like I control
an actual arm with your mind.
Yeah.
Now that does exist to the point where they could grab a robot finger without you looking, and you could tell them which finger it was that they were touching.
Wow.
On this prosthetic hand. So that technology promises to be pretty revolutionary for the medical field.
Absolutely. Man.
Specifically, you brought up Neuralink, which is one of Elon Musk's many wild schemes. But the Neuralink exists already at this point, and that is a small, maybe quarter-sized device where they cut out a circle on your skull.
Oh, my word.
And they embed it with little, I imagine them as tendrils or electrodes that are very, very thin that go down into the brain.
No kidding, dude.
To stimulate
through the little cracks.
That's I don't know
crevices.
About through the wrinkles.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they just go straight through the meat or what. I'm no scientist.
And this has not been done on a person yet.
Not a person. It has on a monkey. It has on pigs.
So this for the monkey, they took him.
Yeah.
And they put him in a little white gown, and he's on the bed.
He's wearing a Neuralink.
And they put a thing on his brain.
Yeah.
Oh my word. Okay.
Yeah. So
and they put the little shard of skull back and kind of.
I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure if they cover it up, like cork it back down and seal it up real good. I don't know what happens there with the patch, or if you just have a steel section of skull. I don't know.
They're really careful, so he's not afterwards just like.
Yeah. They've got to be very careful. So let me tell you about the monkey, because the monkey blew my mind.
Okay.
So
I've heard about this, but
you've heard about the monkey, but let me tell you.
I love the story.
Tell you about the monkey. Google it. Actually, you're on YouTube. After I tell you this, or maybe before,
You gotta see
just
it.
pause it.
Yeah,
Type in Neuralink monkey Pong. Add that to your keywords. So here's the story. There's a video. It's out there on YouTube from Neuralink. This is one of the videos. They're trying to recruit people to their team to develop this technology further. So they want to show where it's up to. They have a monkey, and he is using a joystick to move a cursor on a screen to a highlighted square. And when he keeps the cursor there, some banana smoothie comes out of his straw, and he sucks away on that, and he bloody loves that banana smoothie, right?
I love that part.
So that's his incentive. He's sucking away on that smoothie all day, and he's steering this thing around trying to
only
hit the
delivered
squares.
upon completion of the
Success.
task.
Yeah, so that's he's motivated, mate. He's coming for that square. Okay, he's wearing a Neuralink, and they are sending all of the brain wave data that is indicating hand movements of the joystick. They are reading all of that, and from it building a model of what that data means in terms of his intentions to move a hand.
Oh my
so
word.
That
what does that look like, that data? I don't even,
they show you on the screen.
is it
looks like
are it numbers?
waves.
Is it line? It's waves.
Brainwaves, right? It's
I don't know what a brainwave is.
ones and zeros eventually, ultimately.
Oh, it's electricity. But
so okay, so then the next step is, after they've sort of learned the language of this monkey's brain, they unplug the joystick. So the joystick is not sending any signals to where to move the cursor, and instead they control the cursor based solely on their interpretations. The experimenters cause the cursor to move in correspondence to the monkey's brainwaves, bypassing entirely the physical input of the joystick. They are just reading his intentions to move his hand. He's still moving his hand, still hanging on the joystick, but it's not plugged in. And he's still able, just based off that, to hit the square and suck away on his smoothie. So that's cool. Then they take away the
because
joystick.
you're saying, just to be super clear, that the thing on his brain is gathering data, sending it to their system that interprets that as, if he brainwaves in this way, then the cursor should move in this way.
Yes, that's right.
So he's playing that game with his brain. He's
controlling the cursor with his mind. So then they go ahead, they take away the joystick altogether. And I think he's double-handing his smoothie at that point. He's getting after it. And he starts, he plays some Pong. He's playing Pong. There's a monkey playing Pong with his mind, controlling his paddle, just by willing it to go up and down.
And if he blocks the ball, then he gets.
And then he gets. I assume that's how it works. Maybe it's if he scores. I don't know what the condition is for a smoothie squirt, but he's waiting for it. So that technology is being developed. It's obviously in animal trials at this point.
Unbelievable, dude.
And I mean, Musk says it's coming. It's not going to catch us by surprise. It's not going to roll out overnight, but it'll start with human trials and then some medical test cases where people are desperate to try anything to restore limb function, whatever it happens to be. But that eventually it will trickle down to be consumer grade to where it would replace your cell phone. You know, if you could interface with a computer directly with your mind, you could presumably send information, texts, whatever, much more quickly than doing it slowly with your thumbs, pressing one character after another.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the end game is for this.
There's so many details to work out.
Right.
You know, I don't want unsolicited messages.
That's right.
Coming to my brain.
Right. You're right. That's
I don't want someone to hack my thing.
Don't want to be hacked. Don't want to be mind controlled.
Appeared too smutly.
Yeah.
I can't escape it.
I don't want someone to gain control of my limbs because they've somehow got a hold of my Neuralink. Yeah. There's all kinds of, like, how would that actually play out? But it really does start to seem pretty Black Mirror after a while, and I wouldn't believe it unless I was seeing it, and we're sort of living in a very weird timeline at the moment. So these next 5-10 years are going to be very strange. Now, I think the price barrier will be obscene to begin with. Who can afford to have surgery to stick a Neuralink in their head? Now, I worry about that and its potential to couple with AI and sort of the onset of this human-machine hybrid deal. Suppose even just what an advantage it would be if I could Google things silently in my mind and come up with answers. Even that alone would be that would be a strong advantage in interviews or relating with people, whatever it happens to be.
I mean, dude, what we're talking about now is the revolution of society. Yeah. Everything about it. Education.
Yep.
standardized testing.
Yeah.
I can just take a picture with my like a cell phone camera, and I can upload it to Reddit, and someone can do that thing and tell me the answer.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there with my pen and my paper.
Yeah. It's all happening internally. The stranger thing is when Musk talks about like recording and reliving memories. That would be like, it'd be like having a dream.
There
Except
is an
it's something
episode of
you've
Black Mirror
experienced
just like
before.
that.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Where they're recording everything that happens, right?
And he thought like she was looking at some dude across
I saw
the room.
the way you looked at
Go,
him.
hey, go back to 8:37 and
Let's watch it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I mean, it's all in the details of like the security
totally.
part, right?
Yeah.
Like I need
to know I'm not going to lose my sense of person and self, and that I will remain in control of my body, or, and I don't know how realistic those fears are.
Well, and so actually, just like with anything else, it cuts both ways. I feel the intuition that I would want total autonomy over my Neuralink, and no one can do anything with it or ever override it. But then on the other hand, to prevent some of these big problems, you might want to be able to force someone to hand over some of the data from their Neuralink.
Yeah.
Or shut them off. Like, okay, it's test time. And you press something, it's like a little EMP. And, oh, no.
Yeah. Back to normal. Yeah.
I don't know. Now I'm talking out of turn. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but
I don't think many of us know until it fully hits what the
but
implications
just the
are.
idea. But even your monkey story that you can watch it happen. This really happened.
That happened
A monkey played Pong
with his mind.
with his mind, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. And presumably, now just to be clear, monkey would not. The surprising part of this is not that monkeys play Pong.
No.
Because you might,
No.
through other means, train a monkey.
Yeah.
Monkeys do really cool things.
It's not like the Matrix where they downloaded like kung fu into the monkey and now he knows how to play Pong.
Or like even, I wouldn't be shocked that a trainer could teach a monkey to play Pong with the joystick or even table tennis.
Yeah.
But that he's doing, we removed the barrier to need mechanical input.
Yes.
Is shocking.
Yes.
I can't play ping pong with my mind.
No.
I do in the sense of through my arm, and then I do the joystick.
Well, I think what would end up... I was thinking about what's this like from the perspective of the monkey, because at a certain point he realizes moving my arm doesn't matter. There is no joystick. I'm just sucking on this. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong,
trippy for
it would
him.
have to be something like the dot on the screen feels like a limb. It feels like an extension of my person. What do you mean? How do I move it? I just move it. How do you move your arm? I just move it. What do you mean?
Yeah, man.
I think it would end up feeling like that, which is bizarre. There's a bunch of games I would love to play with my mind where I don't have to rely on the speed of my fingers to execute stuff.
I mean, so many tasks are like that,
Yeah.
Or I don't even, what does it do to sports? So like LeBron James or Steph Curry, the best 3-point shooter we've ever seen, like something is going on in his brain when he makes the ideal 3-point shot. And so, okay, we captured that. So now we know what that brainwave looks like. And if he's got the Neuralink, then can't he just go like
execute 3-point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe.
If that's how this whole corpus works.
I think there's a danger, and for a longer conversation on Neuralink, you can look at what Elon has said about it, and I think he's on Joe Rogan a couple times talking about it. But even if you could stimulate the pleasure center,
dear
what
Heavenly
trouble that
Father.
would get you in,
Yeah.
in terms of whether it was, the most intense orgasm you've ever had because it's a Neuralink orgasm.
the press of a button.
At the press of a button, or if it's like the same, like a dopamine kick or some other, like a drug that you would just keep hitting, that could be a real problem, if you could just hit that on demand. Would you ever do anything else?
Right.
I don't know.
And once the technology's out there, I mean, maybe the first couple generations of the things have some copyrights behind them, and they've been designed to remove those options. But once people get a handle on the tech and can make off-brand versions of it that don't have any of those safeguards, who knows?
Who knows? So that's one
Okay.
bit of technology to look out for.
I'm
Could
troubled.
totally
I'm
change
excited
our
and
world.
troubled
Yeah,
by
yeah.
this. Okay.
Yes, me too.
The other one that I have been thinking about is, I guess they're all kind of related in that they're tech and related to the human person, but synthetic biology. So I am biological. I am made up of a human parts of me are this human genome recorded on some base pairs of nucleotides, A, C, T, and G. And when they're arranged in a certain way in a double helix, and you print these off and make proteins based on them, then you get me.
That's what you get.
Okay. Well, what if we could make synthetic versions of them that are not organically derived, let's say? So I could just print off copies of, I mean, it's somewhat of what's happening in the food revolution toward like vegetarian beef. What's the word for it? There's a term.
Are you saying the lab-grown meat?
Lab-grown
That's
meat.
what you're referring to? Yeah.
I think that's like one implication or one payoff of this new tech.
Yep.
Is that what if I could just print off a filet mignon without having to kill the cow?
Yeah. Now, a little different in lab-grown. Maybe I don't know enough about what you're talking about.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
lab-grown meat starts with a cell culture from an actual cow. You know, like they take a biopsy and then they grow that meat. So it's not synthetic. It is real cow meat. It's just
Gotcha.
we didn't have to kill the cow.
I think this maybe then is we're trying to remove that step
Yeah.
of what if I could
Truly lab-grown meat.
Yeah. Like we have the genome for cow and what proteins it takes to create the filet mignon part, and then you could kind of print it out. I mean,
3D print it.
yeah. Now, I mean, and that's probably, I would say that's super complicated compared to things that are not as complicated, that are more troubling. So let's say, I mean, the coronavirus has a certain sequence to it. And I mean, that's part of I think what's happening with the mRNA vaccine. I'm not totally sure on this, but I think that this new technology of the vaccine everyone has is using this kind of tech, and that it's based on the nucleotides of the virus. But in any case, there's this notion that whatever it is that makes up a virus or a biological plague of sorts, or a bioweapon, that you could synthetically put those together, and with the coupling of like 3D printing and that technology, that if it's just a file of information that I open on my computer,
Yeah.
and I could kind of just like make it at home, that's a huge problem.
That's an enormous
That's not
problem.
like that I could create, that someone could create Ebola
In their basement.
in their basement and just kind of like,
Now, how far away are we from something like that, though? I don't have a good handle on where the technology's up to in that
I've
arena.
just heard a few podcasts and some guys talking about it. I mean, apparently this is one of the fields that's increased the most. I
Really?
mean, yeah. So just one example, I think was it 2002 or 2003, we mapped the human genome through the Human Genome Project. And I think it took 14 years. Now I think you can get yours in like 2 weeks. Just the tech of being able to,
It's accelerated.
yeah. And the human genome is super long.
Yeah.
But viruses and plagues like this are not nearly as long at all to generate the information.
Call me a doomsayer. It seems like a matter of time until a bad actor gets a hold of this technology and tries this bioterror.
Yep.
Like, that seems more like a when than an if to me.
Yes. That's true. And so this, what's his name? Rob Reed. He's a science fiction writer. And what else? He did something not fictional that was noteworthy. That's given him some street cred. But
Rob Reed.
he did this whole like 3-hour long documentary about it. And he said the same thing you're saying, that it's more of a when than if. But he focused on like what are the parameters we can put in place to prevent outbreaks.
Yeah.
So COVID was kind of like a trial run for a pandemic that did not go very well. And we're really lucky in the sense that COVID
We got off lightly.
it's not super contagious compared to things like Ebola.
Yeah.
that have a huge, I think it's like the R factor of how rapidly it spreads. And if someone can print off one of these super viruses, I mean, we need to have infrastructure in place, like how to detect it early and quarantining.
Yeah.
It's super interesting.
Well, hopefully 2020 was enough of a wake-up call
to the point, like he was making it sound like it would get to the point where, like, what you can do in a high school lab now is amazing compared to when we were in school.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah.
And there will come a point when it's like in the dark recess of the internet, like it's just available online. If you had put your mind to causing a mass amount of destruction, you could just kind of go download
the plan for SARS or something,
and get a basic little setup, like a high school biology stuff at home, like a Bunsen burner and centrifuge, and you can kind of do this at home.
And then what do you do with it? So you 3D print this tiny organism, or what's happening, and then you drop it off at a school or something?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, a virus.
Well, I shouldn't have been laughing.
Yeah.
You're like, why are you laughing? That's exactly what they'll do.
Right.
And lots of people will die. Really seems absurd.
Because you can grow, like, it's a culture. You can, like, grow it on stuff, you know?
Listen, I'm dumb. I'm so dumb. Don't you have to start with something that's alive? How are you going to 3D print it without already having... Or are you saying the raw materials that they're using to 3D print are cultures? They're not living?
Man.
I worry that you're talking about abiogenesis, and I want to make sure that you're not.
I'm not.
Okay.
I don't think so. So... I think if I'm understanding this right, I feel like you're calling me out on this. So you can get a hold of, there's only so many amino acids, okay, that form a protein, and so I can get certain amounts of those amino acids, and once I have the information on my computer of what amount of those go into making a protein and to making a helix or double helix of some virus, because that's basically what a virus is. It's just kind of a chunk of DNA that's infected.
That is alive.
Well, there's
stuck on the life piece.
Okay, there's a debate in the science community about
what counts as being alive.
Yes.
Okay.
And virus is typically thought to not be.
Really?
Because it's not self-replicating. It requires a host, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Whereas bacteria is a living thing, and you might remember from high school, you do start with a little thing,
and it grows,
you swab it on the agar
dish,
and you put it in the heat thing, and you get more of it the next day.
That's what I'm picturing.
Okay,
bacteria maybe.
Think of like that, but with virus and genetic material.
Okay,
and so, yeah, to the degree. I mean, again, we're not right there yet, but
it's coming.
That's coming. That's another thing that's worrisome.
You know what, man? This podcast is a downer. I did not expect it to be such a downer when we started it. Because, like, I'm excited about Neuralink. Let me give you some reasons why I'm excited. I don't know what reasons there are to be excited about this technology. Yeah. I'm looking forward to playing Spotify straight to my brain without needing earbuds. Right. I'm looking forward to sitting in a mental Discord channel with my mates all around the world all day long. Anyway, there's pros to these things. I don't know what a pro would be.
Well,
I guess there's genetic manipulation you could maybe do to your own body, like my eye's not functioning right, could I restore that somehow? Or
absolutely,
like DNA repair? Or
yes, yeah. Well, funnily enough, your some of the problems are both are addressed by both items we've talked about so far. So
okay, bring some hope.
Yeah, do you want to get a Neuralink chip and to feel like you have an arm? Or maybe synthetic biology, I get to grow my arm.
An arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where it's at. And just, I mean, tons of illnesses, any kind of genetic illness this is hoping to address.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As with all of these advances, you know, there is so much good and so much harm that can be done with these crazy tools we come up with. Wild.
And it's something, man, like just thinking of past technologies. Like, do we wish social media wasn't invented or the internet? How can you make that kind of moral count?
That's
so much evil has been done with the internet.
Yeah.
So much good.
Yeah.
So much good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to the next generation and us.
Yeah.
It'll be in the next decade or two.
Steward it well. Now, what's the third one? We had 3 we're going to hit on.
Okay, the third one, and it's kind of humorous, but again has the upside and downside. But it's a small part of the advancement in artificial intelligence, but particularly in regard to like audio visual. So there's some really crazy stuff you could look at online right now. One is deep fakes. One is thispersondoesnotexist.com, and
Crazy.
And is the audio considered deep fake also?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
So the idea of a deep fake, correct me if I'm wrong, is a artificial intelligence, a computer, is able to compile the look of a famous celebrity, let's say, and their voice to make it look like they're saying something that they didn't say.
Yeah, that's about the size of it.
Is that it?
That's about it. It's like imagine a computer studied enough footage of Clint Neptune to understand, or actually it's even more than that. Imagine they had a photo of Clint Neptune, but they had studied enough human faces to understand what an eye is, how it works, the muscles around the eyebrows, all of that. And then they can take that photo, the computer can take that photo and simulate those movements, what it would look like if this weren't a photo and it were a video, you know?
And if these were the words that we wanted it to say?
Yeah, I mean, if they listen to enough of your voice.
We've coupled that together, the audio and the visual?
Yeah, what do you mean, have we coupled that together?
Because I saw, like, you mentioned...
Oh, you've seen one or the other.
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen them together.
Never at the same time.
But I think that's coming.
It's coming, yeah.
So you could go online and... Is it Barack Obama or George W. Bush?
There's a whole... I forget what the name
is
of the...
rapping
Yeah.
Into Club by 50 Cent.
50 Cent.
And using all the horrific swear words.
Yeah, if you just Google, like, audio deepfake or on YouTube, you'll find him. But yeah, it's that sounds like George W. Bush.
It sounds like him.
It really does sound like him. Except he's saying really offensive things.
Or just type in deepfakes, best deepfakes on YouTube.
Dude, the best one... I think the best one I've seen is John Travolta as... Forrest Gump.
Oh man,
that one is so good because he was originally cast for it and turned down the role, and then Tom Hanks got it.
So you just watch this 3-minute thing of all like these key moments in the movie Forrest Gump, but it's just Tom Hanks. But
it's John.
They meaning the AI,
yeah,
a computer,
very convincingly put
like
John
in
Travolta, and to the point where it's at the point.
It's not John Travolta's voice.
No.
It's Tom Hanks' voice, but it looks like it's...
And some of these shots, I would never be able to tell.
No.
Sometimes you can tell, you know, when something's a bit funky around the edges or whatever. Some of them are so convincing that if nobody told you it was a deep fake, you wouldn't know. Now, that's troubling in some ways because if that technology advances and becomes more and more commonplace, it is already difficult to trust information that you're reading online.
You think misinformation is the problem now?
Yeah.
Just wait till the underbelly of Facebook is pumping out political ads showing who knows
things that never happened or things that were never said.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying crazy stuff that she never said.
Yeah. So
amazing. Now couple that with this hilarious website called thispersondoesnotexist.com. Unbelievable.
I think there's another, this cat does not exist. I think there's a few of them, .com. But you just go there and you will see a photo of a person.
He has it up, or he had it up on the screen there.
That doesn't exist. It's just an AI generated face. They've looked at millions of photos of humans and now they've created one.
Even the backgrounds are all different.
Generated. Yeah. It's just...
It could be at the dock or
it just knows
the library.
It knows how to make a photo of a person that's not real.
And so coupling that together... I mean, we're not that far away from, you could just have an AI just kind of made a movie of a fake person with some voice, fake human voice that they've put together, and it looks real, does all the movements.
Yeah. Well, like you and our buddy Steve have talked about, you could be in the movie. Submit your face. And now on the next Avengers, you get to be Iron Man and you can watch it.
I think that's the future of film.
Yeah. You get to feature and be in it. There is also AI songwriting that's happening.
Unbelievable.
Whether it's voice simulation or, I mean, a computer that studies enough pop music will uncover formulas that are successful.
And you've
in
listened
pop
to
songs.
it, and it sounds pretty good, or?
Oh yeah. It sounds good.
Like so, and what that means. So just for our listeners and for myself. when we say AI, it's some person out there that has clicked play on some program that's been written,
Let's say an algorithm. Yeah.
an algorithm. And it's not like launching Microsoft Word where there's this definite process, right? It's like you've pressed play on an algorithm and is it really genuinely intelligence? It's the person who wrote it. You know what I mean?
Who wrote the program, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that the work produced is...
There's a randomness element.
Yeah. Let me think about what a good analogy would be. I don't know if I have one off the top of my head, but the programmer wrote the tool, but it's almost like putting some input into the tool can result in wildly different outputs based on this algorithm and what it's doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
So the programmer is not composing melodies.
Right. Okay.
The computer is composing melodies, and they're convincing. I mean, they sound fine. Sounds like music that you would hear.
So just like really practically, if that exists right now, could you like get a handle on that algorithm and then press play? It produces a 3-minute track and put it on Spotify, and you make money from it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I don't know right where the technology is at there. Well, there's a joke in there about making money from Spotify, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, in theory, you could do that if you had the software. Well, think about even there's elements of the music I make where I might use a randomize function. You know, maybe this particular sound, I'm going to define a scale and a range within these octaves and how many notes I want there to be, but I want you to computer randomize the order of the notes. And I can certainly turn that into a song and sell that. So this would just be that taken to the extreme. The question would be, or the pushback that I hear from people is like, I will always prefer human-made music because it's got that human soul to it. It's like, I get what you're saying. There's something to music not being mathematical and locked to a grid, and there's something about ebb and flow and human grooves and all of that. But, mate, computer can study all of your hip-hop grooves and emulate those too. So, or... a computer that can simulate the exact way a human voice breaks when it's on the verge of crying. Like, yeah. You get passion from a human singer, but you're going to get a computer that will emulate it to a point where it's indistinguishable.
And like, so you could watch a YouTube video of it looks like a guy playing acoustic guitar, singing a song, and none of it
happened. Yeah. 10 years.
By some guy in his basement pressing play on an algorithm.
I do want to say it's more complex than pressing play. Like, they don't just say, make a song, make music video, and they press that button. I do think it's more complex than that.
Okay.
But essentially, yeah, fake visuals, fake audio. We're just increasingly not going to be able to believe what we're seeing. There's going to be some low-grade skepticism that we bring to any sort of visual media, I think. I think.
Or have some ways of detecting when something's been created or doctored in that way.
That'll be the next big advance is how can we detect deep fakes, you know, and that'll be a race. Which bit of technology stays ahead of the other, you know?
Right, because as far as my understanding goes, just an MP3 file for audio, you wouldn't be able to tell just from having that. You would want
how it was created.
Yeah.
No,
not at all. It's just you'd want to know the project file.
Yeah.
And see, you could probably find out there that something went awry. But
yeah, awry. It was given over to the AI to handle. Yeah.
So those are 3. Like, I know those are kind of gloomy.
Yeah, gloomy episode, man.
But each of them have their upsides. It's just, you know, we try to talk about things that are influencing the culture, things that we're thinking about, and it's worth knowing.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, Black Mirror, that TV show, is a great option for kicking around those creative juices as well. And they address some of the ethical questions of whether to opt into any of these things. I mean, presuming in these worlds we have some amount of liberty. Would I get Neuralink? You know? Is that a good thing for you to do? But we had to ask ourselves that for all these other things that have come along the way. Should I get a smartphone?
Would you? Or is it just too early to say? Neuralink. You can be guaranteed you're not going to get hacked.
Oh man. Yeah, I would end up getting it probably.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty pro AI. I mean, to the point where, like, you can't beat them, join them. So I'm willing to do that. Like,
merge with the.
Yeah, if there's a merging process that takes place in the next 40 years, I think I'm on board for that.
Right.
I'm along for the ride. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, if you have any questions or comments about this stuff, you can reach us at mailbag@opentatruth.com. We'd love to hear from you. And we write each week a blog, so feel free to subscribe to that, opentatruth.com/subscribe, right when you get home.
Yeah.
Jump on your laptop or your phone, like, oh yeah, Clint said subscribe.
Yep.
So,
all right, we'll see you next time. Stay
Stay
curious.
curious.